Admiral's Log, April 3rd, 1912. My wheelchair creaked and groaned, silver inlays on the armrest glimmering in the twilight. Disciplined and righteous men lined up behind me, ready to assist me in my endeavor. The scars on my face lit up with retribution as I passed column upon column of lanterns flickering in the breeze. Up on the balcony, the elegant balusters separated me from a crowd, thousands strong, gathered in the pavilion for the stupendous occasion. The expert doctors taking care of me and my colleagues had suggested a recovery should be possible, but I had never believed that my emaciated, tortured frame could possibly sustain such an effort. Now, years later, I was indebted to my apothecaries. Sweat dripping down my face, my men slowly lifted me out of the wheelchair. Placing my weight on two pristine boots, they touched the ground for the first time, seemingly shaking the plaster underneath. My shaking hands grasped the cane and a searing pain entered my nervous system. After several agonizing seconds, the sensation was ousted by brute determination. To show the world what I and Austria-Hungary were made of. The wooden cane clattered to my trembling feet. My ardent followers slowly let go upon my command, and I rose to a humongous cheer from the crowd. My eye saw before me a sea of fire, a show of torches, lanterns and candles, all brought out to honor my sacrifice. I raised a torch high in the sky and the crowd echoed my movements. Under my leadership, we shall bring burning light to the world. We will engulf Europe in flames. Though the French are close to capitulation, we are no closer to finding out what killed my family. While the writings on the bomb were in German and English, we know that the French Foreign Service is especially adept at translation. This could have been their ploy all along. Hey guys, Stealth here and welcome to episode 5. After some deliberation between my government and the French Empire, they have come to an agreement. There is to be peace, at least for a while. This means that the enemy is now demanding, or at least required, to give me reparations. That, finally, allows me time to get bigger ships. I will not be able to refit these ships, I'll not be able to inspect these ships beforehand, so I'm going to have to take these big ships as they are. This is the only way for me to get big ships. Oh, by the way, I'll also very much take Corsica, thank you kindly, and Tunisia if you're offering. That means I can get only one battleship. Ironically, I can take the Démocratie from the French. I can take the democracy. I can also decide I do not want these provinces yet, and instead I'd rather have more battleships. I think having one battleship, specifically, and this is more role-playing than potentially real, their flagship, I'm going to just take that. This also gives me a minor sum. It's just 1 million, and change, it's not that special. Now, I am not actually at war anymore, but I do now have a new battleship. So let's have a look at this new battleship. I can view it, but I can very much not refit it, because I don't have the designs. So, this French battleship, what can we expect from her? She has 12.5-inch guns. 14 of those. Standard bulkheads traveling at 23 knots. I intend to use her as a distraction. She's there to attract fire. She's the tank, if you will. When it comes to torpedo protection, heavily protected, Barbette 2, Krupp 2. Dunite bursting charge is a bit old-fashioned, but okay, it's what we have. They get a coincidence 2 rangefinder. They're heavily protected when it comes to armor, so that's very nice. The 12.5-inch gun caliber, I would love to tell you how fast it reloads, but I don't know, because I cannot see. Oh, there it is. Reloads in 37 seconds. A full broadside from this ship, who does involve a fairly healthy amount of batteries. Involves the A-B turret, the side mounts, and then the X turret on the back. Smaller ships could be an issue, as she only has one 4-inch gun. but she has 18 3-inch guns, which are hidden there in the superstructure there. Here are 2 pointing out and over there. So I do have options to deal with smaller ships. And then, of course, a couple of underwater torpedo tubes. So La Démocratie is now my new and only battleship in this fleet. So what comes next? What comes next? That is the big question. For the moment, I am spending an awful amount of money, and I am not actually at war with anybody. We are currently at peace. The Italians love me, the Germans think I'm pretty okay, but the French and the British do not. So what I'm going to do now is bring all my ships back, in hopes that this will actually fit. It might not. Seeing as the amount of ships that oh, actually, no, never mind. I now also have the access to the port here of Bonifacio and Saint-Florent, which can house a little bit. Bizerte can house 35,000 tons and Tunis can house 51,000. So we're going to park a couple of ships here. And the rest of the fleet, those who are not actually in the seas are going to go to limited, so that I'm not going to be paying a lot of money for them. I'm still losing 36 million. Maxing out transport capacity is still very much priority. Maxing out research, well, it is nice to have, but it's not strictly something I have to focus on this much. Let's reduce the crew training a touch, and well, it could be some months before the next part of this campaign. After a few months, well, after a bit more than a few months, the situation in Europe is very interesting. I am the only party not at war. The British and the Germans continue to duke it out. And as the Germans don't have enough power in the North Sea, well, they're not blockaded, but they keep losing transports. And when you lose transports, your economy slowly cripples. So the situation is such that the German Empire has an economy which is smaller than the French. The French are smaller than the Italians of all people. And I have an economy that is 11 billion bigger than that of the Germans. And whereas the Germans, the French, the British, and the Italians are all shrinking in their economies, mine is growing. The Austro-Hungarian fires of the economy, fires of industry, are burning brightly. And because of that, well, it looks like it's going to be a really interesting campaign. Because as these guys build new ships, as these guys repair their ships, and as these guys try to recruit their ships, which turns out to be a problem for the British, I have been doing research. And I have unlocked a couple of new options. I have a 14,500 ton heavy cruiser hull. And I have a 12,000 ton light cruiser hull. I also have the Battlecruiser 1 and the Advanced Battlecruisers, sadly. Both of which are outlawed because I'm only running a campaign that has cruisers. But I might be able to build a really big cruiser. Because these designs go up to 16,000 tons. And if you compare that to, for example, the Torch, it is 14,000 tons. And I can now go bigger than, well, I can go to 14,500. The light cruisers, however, they are due for an upgrade. Because this is the Ember. And the Ember class is not that big. The Ember class only displaces 7,500 tons. Now I do hope that I can boost this light cruiser hull to be something really, really big. I mean, I can displace 11,000 tons like this. But if I go for a bigger draft... Oh, it's still over 12,000. Okay, it's fine. Nevertheless, 12,000 is a hell of a lot better than the small ships that we have now. It does mean they will not be as sleek, because if you reduce the beam, you come up to a smaller ship. But it does mean I can add more stuff to it. We're going to go for a minimum range. I know that this has a potential to cause worse... Actually, no, let's not. Let's make it standard range. Let's give him gear turbines, let's give him induced boilers. We're going to go for oil, which I now have. Oil, full oil burners. Auxiliary 2 to put out fires ourselves very quickly. Shaft, an unbalanced rudder and electro-hydraulic steering. Double hull bottom reinforced bulkheads, anti-flood, and a armored citadel. We started with this, the underwater protected deck, and now also have the advanced armored citadel, which gives me more resistance, less engine damage, and, fairly importantly with my ships, less flash fire chance. So let's go with that. When it comes to towers, it's not going to be very spectacular. Considering I have a lot of displacement aboard this ship, I'm thinking it'll be fine to go with the bigger towers, the more advanced ones, the ones that have higher base accuracy. Because a higher base accuracy means my gun barrels can be shorter. Shorter gun barrels means my guns fire faster. Now, I'm thinking of going with a 7-inch design, and I can put these 7-inchers in quite a lot of positions. Barbettes, sadly, do not work for this particular hull, so we're going to have to do something different. Can this fit? Yes, but it won't turn. Okay, we're going to go for one on the bow and one on the stern. These are going to be 7.9-inch guns. That is a bit big for a light cruiser, but they're going to be minus 10%, so they're going to be 10% shorter, giving me a reload currently of 14.2 seconds. Of course, we're going to buff that as much as we can. We're going to make these things hit as hard as we can with the Dunite. Well, see, I like these shells. It's just that we have found against the French that shell pen is a bit of an issue. So I'm going to go with the Dunite propellant, charge, to make sure that I actually have a chance to pen stuff. High capacity HE shells, maybe. This, especially with heavy shells, gives me quite a lot of shell pen. 5,000 meter range, 5.2 inches, which I think for this era will be more than sufficient. Let's go with a coincidence rangefinder, because we're firing short range anyway. Reload's 13 seconds. If I saw them off to minus 20, reload drops to 11 seconds. And that's actually quite interesting. Let's go with an air intake and put this... No, I don't need advanced radio. I need a force boiler. I think I'm going to need a few. Hold on, since I cannot use this space here anyway. Yes. Why not? Let's put this as far back as possible. Put another funnel over there. Another one over there. Yeah, 76% is okay. I would like to go 30 knots though. I'm not sure if the game will allow me. Oof, engine efficiency 48. 30 knots does make this thing very quick, and because it's a long hull... What? That's a bit underwhelming. I was expecting to have more torpedo tube slots, but sadly not. Okay, fine. We do have some casemates, which I can use for 3-inch. And we have another couple over there. That still gives me, a fairly healthy amount of displacement. I can armor this ship up very nicely. So let's do just that. Main deck, maybe not so much. Aft belt, yes please. Superstructure, give me 3-inch. And conning tower, give me 5-inch. When it comes to the guns, I'll take 9 inches of armor, 1 inch on the top. Interior, citadel, make that 1 inch. Still giving me about 1,300 tons, 1,200 tons to work with. And I need that because I don't have a lot of guns yet. Now, I can add these guns here, which is a very interesting placement. I can sadly not really add them over there. But if I move this funnel, I might be able to add some more there. Let's see, what would I need to do if I want to have more 7-inchers like here? Does that work better with 6? Not even 5? Go away. It's not the 5-inch guns per se. It's not the casemate guns either. Interesting. So what is the issue here? If I manually put them down? Yeah, then they'll fit. Okay, so with a broadside, we can fire 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 7-inch guns. That is a pretty healthy amount of firepower. What is slightly unhealthy is my weight offset. That needs to change. Can I put a 5-inch gun somewhere on the back to help? Sad that I don't have the dual barrels researched yet. That would have been very nice to have. If I put this over here... No, it doesn't fit. If I put it over there, then these guns don't rotate. This 4 weight offset is concerning. I only have 1 air intake. If I remove this, we're dropping to 48% engine efficiency, which means my acceleration is really bad. Let's see what that actually does. Engine power. Minus 0.1% acceleration. Less torque, less operational range. Is that it? I thought it would be worse. I mean, if that is all, then I am kind of willing to accept the consequences of that. Let's see, can we make this a 360? Yeah, easy. Wait a second. Is this feasible? Yes. It's an odd duck. And you might argue that it's not very effective, because this gun will not be able to fire anyway. But it would make use of these positions here. Alternatively, could I put a couple of 4s on there? To augment the 7-inch gun? Let's point this at the tower. To make sure it rotates. There. Yeah, now it'll rotate. Okay, good. We're still a bit bow heavy. I need to do some 4s over there as well. Oh, come on. What? I'm sorry, I'm not sure why my Google Assistant suddenly piped up. Right, so with these 4-inchers, we have still a pretty bad 4 weight offset. If I park this tower back here, is it possible to have another 7-inch? Yes. So, that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 7.9-inch guns, which reload in 11 seconds and which are capable of obliterating ships. If I were to set these to be high explosive, incendiary, I could set quite a lot of fires. This thing is so heavily protected, I'm not even sure what to put more armor into. Let's make these a bit shorter, these 10-inchers. Sorry, 4-inchers. Let's make the 3-inchers a bit longer, actually. So we're going to have very similar ranges here, 8.8, and this is 9.1. So we have a very good amount of firepower against smaller ships, which I have seen other nations use quite a bit. So I got to be a bit more careful there. I believe that at 4.5... No. 4.2, you're able to start armoring these, so let's do that. And at 3. Yep. Oh, sorry, they're casemates. It doesn't matter. I can armor the casemates anyway. So let's give it more top armor. Let's give this more deck armor. More deck armor there. Fine, I'll bring a radio. An increased amount of shells. And if I could have another funnel, I would bring it. It's just that I don't have a good spot for it. So that means I can either increase speed and reduce engine efficiency more, or I have a bit of room for torpedo launchers. And as unreliable as torpedoes can be, this can be very handy to have. Let's give him an increased crew complement. And I am limited by 12k, so I cannot extend beyond that. No, that's a bit much. A 5-inch deck. 4-inch deck, still a bit much. But it fits. 1 inch 4, 1 inch 4, 1 inch aft. Let's increase aft a bit to balance out the ship. And there we are. The Turnitz. No, sir. No, sir. This is the Blaze. And I'm going to delete the heavy cruiser Leopard class, because we have something pretty similar. Save the design. When it comes to the torch, I don't think I need to to do something about this ship. It has all these 8-inch guns, backed up by a lot of 5-inch guns. I think this ship is fine as is. I don't think I have access to the 9-inch gun yet. I do. I do. What would happen if I take a very aggressive saw and make this minus 20% barrel length? You could still fire out to 15-inch or 15-kilometer range on paper. You just wouldn't be able to hit anything at that range. See, my consideration with these guns is that while they might be interesting to use, they might have an issue with accuracy and their rotation speed. I'm actually considering their rotation speed to be a problem because you want to get these ships in the range fast. Otherwise, they might not as well try and get into range because they don't hit anything. A reload time of 21 seconds is ridiculously good and does give you the opportunity to close into range and deal a ridiculous amount of damage in a very short time span. Which has the better hull form? 52. Yikes. If I were to make this a sleek, big cruiser, I cannot, according to my own rules, go beyond heavy cruiser hulls, but that doesn't mean they have to be very small. I have options there. Oil, gear turbines, AUX, steering, unbalanced, and shaft. Yes. Double, anti-torp, all the bulkheads. Because we get the advanced tower. I don't expect to have long-range accuracy in any way, shape, or form. But these could be mini battleships. Pocket battleships, if you will. Does that work? It does. Holy moly. Those are some big guns. I like it. I really like it. It's a very odd design. Usually what attracts me in a design. Give me heavy shells. High capacity HE. These are going to be fire starters. More fire chance. Yes. A citadel. Probably recommended. And they can currently do 25 knots. Which is not very fast. But with a hull form like this, I have very... I don't have a lot of faith that I can accelerate them to anything reasonable beyond 30 knots. I don't think that's going to work. I also think this looks a bit odd. Let's give me a normal barbette, if you will. These things, because they are sawed-off shotguns, also have a better turret rotation speed of 5.67 degrees per second. They reload in 22.5 seconds. That's interesting. Now, let's give them a casemate. 2-inch. You can fire over that turret? Beautiful. Be like that. Okay. It's a short-range ship, so 8-inch, 4-inch, 4-inch. The ship is going to be overweight, yes. Slow it down to 28 knots. And when it comes to the superstructure, I'll take 2-inch there. The conning tower, I'll take 8-inch. Main deck, I don't really care. I'm probably going to be moving into main firing range anyway. At a decent speed. 1-5, 1-1, 4 belt 4, 4 belt, or aft belt 4. If eventually I research better propulsion, I'll be able to also make use of these casemate slots. For now, I think these could be the bludgeons that I can use to win this war. Just... does this turn? It does. Okay. It does. Interesting. Give me one touch more on the aft. No, it doesn't fit. Nah. Okay. Molotov class. Molotov class heavy cruiser. These are going to be expensive to run. They cost 22 million. The Blaze class costs 16 million, so they're a bit cheaper. But otherwise, I think that they need to work together. Because the Blazes, while they have a decent amount of pen, they might not have the punch to go through the bigger ships. And these guns will. So we now have a Molotov class battle. Well, pocket battleship-ish? I'll take 3, because they're fairly experimental. And when it comes to the Blaze, I'll take 5. Right, that puts my navy currently at 57 ships, and I'm building another 8. That means I'm going to be bigger than the Royal Navy. The Royal Navy, however, has 6 battle cruisers and 12 battleships, so they're not small by any stretch. And they're not toothless either, because they've been reducing the German numbers substantially. And I wonder when, maybe not if, but when, we're going to see the Germans blockaded. Although they would probably also need some blockading force in the Baltic. As for the Italians, let's see how many ships they got left. 45, the French 31. But the French are building 44 new ships. That's a lot. At least the French don't hate me anymore, because of some actions that I've taken. They interestingly do hate the Germans. Very interesting. I thought the French and the Germans would be pretty much on the same page, but... Oh no, never mind, of course not. The French and the British opened war against the Germans. I'm not sure if the French are still at war with the Germans, actually. They might be. Would be good for me, because then... they are still losing transports, and thus economic strength. Alright, we're going to carry on. Another couple months later, the Italian Empire declares war against the French Empire. Because I am allied with the Italians, they are asking me if I can follow them into the war. It's not my war, but yes, I will go to war. Sadly, I have just taken steps to refit most of my fleet. Which means that a good portion of the fleet is still underway for refitting, 3 to 5 months. Especially the Sabinico class is taking a lot longer to refit than I'd expected. These things have been already refitting for 4 months. So it's a full-term pregnancy in order to get these things refit. It does mean I have some other newer ships that are eager to prove themselves. And, well, it looks like they'll get their opportunity. We're going to send out our prize ship, the Bismarck, the Democratie, as well as a couple of our new ships. Spanish galleons have been receiving some upgrades, mostly, well, especially the Citadel and the additional systems like oil, all very useful to have. Let's see what the French have, a couple of lights, what's that? Another light, another heavy... Okay, let's just park them all here, and let's see what happens. As for the other French territories, they already gave me Corsica, and they gave me Tunisia. So I don't believe that they have any territory left to give, which, ironically, means that it's pretty much fair game on the French, and we can eliminate them entirely from the board if the opportunity presents itself. As for research, I am focusing heavily on cruiser design, which means I now have the Advanced Battlecruiser 2. I'm not going to be building it, and I'm very much eager to get better heavy cruiser designs. Yeah, destroyers are not going to be terribly interesting at the moment, but let's also prioritize that. Whoa! That jumped from 6 months to 1? That's impressive. Let's spend a bunch more on our economic growth. When it comes to our economy, we're now looking at 37 billion in GDP. We are still growing, albeit slightly. If you look at the French, -5. If you look at the Italians, -5. The Germans are holding, and the British are slightly growing, but not by much. And yet again, it seems that the British have a crew pool issue. The Germans, in the meanwhile, are very interesting to see if I am up for an alliance. That would put me in alliance with both the Italians and the Germans, making for a very powerful pact, but I don't want to. I can invest 120 million of my naval funding into the German Empire, or I can say no. Seeing as the writings on the bomb that killed my family were German and British, well, German and English, I'm not going to entertain this peace treaty. Well, this alliance. Okay, the Torch class gets its first opportunity to burn something down. We're going to be taking on the Friant and the Viale. 2 light cruisers of a... one is the Jean de Vienne class, and the other one is an updated version of the Jean de Vienne, which, interestingly, is a lot cheaper. 9 million, 6.7 million. I can already see why, because their engine is not nearly as powerful. It's less than half, in fact, making the top speed of this ship 26.5, and this one only 22. They also have reduced bulkheads from maximum to standard, and I'm not seeing any other changes, so they might have changed something in the propellant, they might have changed something in the turret mechanics, but whatever they did, it made the ship a lot cheaper. Now let's see if I can capitalize on that with this new Torch class. Because this is the first time you're seeing it. 8-inch guns, main, ABC or ABXY format, a lot of 5-inch casemates, and a lot of 5-inch single turrets. 2-inch guns for good measure against small ships, and a couple of torpedo tubes completing the whole picture. These guys carry incendiary shells. Sorry, no, they carry capped ballistic shells because we're going to punch through the French armor. And especially their heavy cruisers used to be pretty difficult to crack. I suspect that this time around the light cruisers are not going to be that much of an issue, as the light cruisers generally were a bit easier to burn down due to a lack of armor. And aside from that, because they have reduced the amount of bulkheads, this makes it even easier. These ships have a decent pitch and roll. They're slightly sleeker than their hull form normally is, at -6% beam. And I am very interested to see how many fires we can set with this new design. The French have torpedoes up to 6.2, mine run at 6.6. A slightly better range. But you didn't come to this episode or this campaign to watch something get torpedoed. At least, not the enemy. You're here to see stuff burn, and I understand that. So that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to slow the ship down, get an accuracy bonus, as well as a maneuverability bonus, and start taking aim at this ship. They can definitely hurt me, especially funnels and superstructure, bow and stern a little bit. Not that much. So as the ship steadies out, we're going to try and get some guns on target. Here we go. Guns, casemates, everything's turning. 16% chance to hit, 17 with the mains, 19, and they're not firing. Whoa! That's a great opportunity there to get some fires and reduce the threat of this cruiser, destroying the torpedo launcher. Yep, they don't have any more torpedoes. Oh, they've upgraded to 19-inch. This is the more modern version. This is the Friant. The other one was the... Sorry, this is the older version. This is the newer version. Comes the main gun. That's a... Holy shit. That's a lot of firepower for a light cruiser. I thought mine had a lot of firepower. These are worse. Or better. Depending on how you want... Oh, here we go again. Depending on how you want to look at it. I don't play in 1910 very often, so I forgot how quick these things are to cook off. They just cook so fast. Now I can pretty much ignore the Friant. I'm going to switch fire to the Viale, because she still has 12 torpedoes and she's probably eager to demonstrate just how much damage those can do. That was a secondary gun pen with a 5-inch gun of mine. How many launchers you got? 3 per side. No bow, no stern launcher. That's interesting. This is the one which has standard bulkheads. So it seems that the French are... Now they're regressing somehow. I'm not sure why. They're stepping away from their maximum bulkhead design. They're also stepping away from their higher speed design. Yet, they haven't seen fit to reduce the amount of funnels on these ships. Interesting change. Oh, speaking of which, I have seen fit to remove one of their funnels for them. Can this do anything? Not really. Viale is starting to regret not having that many bulkheads as her semi-sister ship. Spacious quarters, though. That's interesting. Geez, you already lost 22% of your crew? Wow. I've lost less than 2%. 13.5%. We might be able to burn the Viale down before long. Oh, let's torpedo the Friant. Why not? We got a lot of those torpedo launchers. Might as well use them. What's your turning circle? 271? Yeah. More interesting, when are you going to detect? Because I'm not seeing a notification yet. Not that this torpedo is going to be on course. There. About 900 meters out. That's all they had to detect them. Okay, let's see if we can burn down the Friant. Destroyed main gun? Did you forget to armor your main turrets? 10 inches? How did you destroy your main turret? Let's see. How did you destroy your main turret? I don't know. It's a lot of 5-inch firepower that's actually hitting the ship. I'm not seeing the 8-inch guns do a whole lot. Look at that damage. 80 damage in fires. It's not a lot. Crew, 26% losses. Come on. Torpedo launcher ready and reloaded. Torpedo away. Let's see what this thing does. Looks a little better. But... there. 500 to 600 meters is what they needed to detect that. 30% crew lost. Now my ship is 30 million, so it is more expensive than these two ships combined. I really cannot lose this heavy cruiser. But I'm very much not at risk of losing anything right now. They are. They got about 32% crew loss. 32.5. It looks like my ship is only getting more accurate. I just don't understand why the 8-inch guns are not firing. It makes no sense to me. There we go. It does explain why they're not actually doing any damage. Another torpedo out. 36% crew. There, now we finally hit something. A second they're going to be overpenned with a high explosive shell. That's pretty insulting. Overpenning with a high explosive shell. Okay. Their control's going down, even though they have a lot of crew. And they normally shouldn't be suffering from this issue. They are starting to lose control of the ship. Because their damage control is dwindling, my chance to burn them down is improving. But Viale is falling back. Means that the Viale is once again a bigger issue. I'm going to switch fire again, because this guy has torps. Viale does not. Viale's accuracy and such are probably not going to be that much of an issue. The 8-inch guns are actually firing now. Did we have a torpedo launcher issue? I find it hard to believe that we launched 8 torpedoes already. Probably missed that somewhere. I can end the battle. Yeah, right. Yeah, I had an ammo detonation. That was probably the torpedo launcher. I find it a bit of a weird mechanic with the torpedo launcher, because I understand that if a torpedo launcher gets hit, the ammo stored around that torpedo launcher, let's say, is no longer launchable. But I have ammo in the bow and the stern and the port and starboard. If the stern gets hit and loses its torpedo launcher, why does that impact the capability of launching the torpedoes at the bow? That's something that I cannot quite fathom. I cannot quite rhyme that with the loss of the stern torpedo launcher. It doesn't add up for me. It also doesn't add up why the main guns are still not firing. They're on target. They're set to fire. They just don't do it. There we go, now they do. But on a different target. So you're engaging the Friant. You're engaging the Viale. Chance to hit? About 40%. Very respectable. And they stop again? Is this some new bug? Viale looks in pain. And yet... This is the issue with the HE capped shells. You do enough damage to pen their armor and you slowly break them apart, but you don't set enough fires. Not enough. Not as many as I would like. And if my main guns would actually be interested in firing, that'd be great. Oh wow, that's more like it. 691 damage. We pen the aft belt. Their aft belt, for good measurement, is 2.8 inches plus 100%, so that's 5.6. And yes, at less than 2 kilometer range, we can pen that. Destroyed main gun. How much crew do you have left? 41.9% lost. Finish them. Not quite. What? For fuck's sake, this needs fixing. Please release a hotfix for this. I don't want to have my guns just stop turning when I'm in a turn. It makes no sense. 43.3, 43.5. And my main guns are just... I don't know. My main guns have completely lost the plot. There we go. Ooh! When they do fire, they cause a lot of damage. There. Now to finish off the Viale, she might still launch a torpedo at me. Good hit. That was another 8-inch hit. Yeah, you got nowhere to go, sunshine. You're normally doing 22 knots, and I'm faster. It's inevitable. That to happen. It is inevitable. You've already destroyed my torpedo. Destroyed secondary tower. Viale slowly but steadily succumbing to the fire. We still got spacious quarters. Trained crew desperately fighting the fires. Is it enough? Turn. I'm gonna close the distance. I know it's risky. I know it also means more chance to pen with a high explosive shell, which will very swiftly reduce the Viale to ashes. See, now I'm in a very gradual turn. It's a very light turn. The gun should be on target. Destroyed funnel. They are ridiculously good at stopping all those fires, though. Even with standard bulkheads. If this would have been an incendiary cruiser, I would probably have already killed them. %. If I close the distance, they manage to stop all these fires. Just watch. We're gonna turn. Means the guns will probably stop functioning. There we go. They have a lot of issues. Few out. Ah, there we go. We're starting some more. Is your stern torpedo launcher? No, you didn't have a stern torpedo launcher, did you? No. You're gonna be in a bit of a pickle then. Boom. Flooding. Can you pen this? No, you can't. More flooding. Ship's filling up fast now. The 8-inch guns have kind of redeemed themselves. It took them a while. Even the 2-inch guns are doing more damage. What the shit? Take no prisoners. 2-inch guns. Reloads in 2.1 seconds. Kill it fast before it torps you. Come on. Oh, that got a bit close there. Oof. That got a bit dangerous. Could have had 3 torpedoes impact this ship, which I don't know how to pronounce. Miskolch? Something like that. So, 2 more French light cruisers damaged. So badly damaged that they sunk. Light damage to my ship, which will be repaired in 2 months. And I got 1900 victory points for my trouble. The French, having 46 ships left, are very badly hurting economically. So am I, actually. The only nation that's growing is the British. Interesting. Right, in the next episode, we're going to clash with the French again, because they still have some more ships. If I could have them donate another battleship, that would be wonderful. Oh. We might have an opportunity here. This group, 1 battleship, 1 heavy cruiser, 2 lights, and a DD, are coming to the Western Med. They're coming here. And I'm eager to show them what their own battleship can do to them. So join me next time as we might have a fight like that. I shall show you soon when you show up for the next episode. See you guys there.